Now, here's my box that says 3+ vintage Death Stars. It did say Star Destroyer playsets and a few other things in here, but I've actually gone through and taken those out. So all that's in here is Death Star pieces. That is my one good gun without the very tip of that smaller barrel there broken off. So this one, very delicate. I know that's why it's at the top, so nothing else crushes it under weight. Now, I was highly phobic about driving a car for many years, but I still remember as a kid thinking how cool it would be to erect the Death Star in the big empty back of my parents' station wagon and play with the Death Star as we're driving around town. Despite the phobia that kept me from getting a license till I was 37, I still thought that would be a neat idea. Here's two more guns that do not have the very final little pieces here on them. So, and I think I've got the most broken one right there. So, nothing. And that's actually hot glued in place. This was something that came with a replacement that I bought recently. And these bags contain the foam, the original foam that was in there. And see how it's gotten like very flat over time as it's just breaking down? Yeah. The same thing that happens to Muppets over time. They call it toast. And then this one was some, if I recall correctly, something else that I thought looked like it could be good replacement foam, and so I kept that. Both now totally useless. Here are struts and things for assembling. 1, 2, and 3, the bags are labeled. So this is probably one full set, and then 2 and 3 will be lesser complete ones, because I noticed that in one, you can see the often missing rope swing of the Death Star. My rope swing broke because you had to stretch it over Luke's hand to get him to swing, and it would just, you know, the underside of it would break over time. And then one day, after I had graduated college and had a job, I went to the Limestone Flea Market outside of Huntsville, Alabama. There's a guy I went to all the time. I believe his name was Wayne Golden. And I did a lot of business with Wayne over the years, and one day he had a Death Star, and I said, oh, I don't want a whole Death Star, but I just want that rope swing, if you would ever, you know, be willing to sell that. And he was like, no, I could get as much for that rope swing as I could get for a complete Death Star. I'm like, okay, whatever. He also had the die-cast white tie bomber, which was very hard to get, and he was firm on his price for it. But like I say, I had a job, I had an income, and I was still living in my parents' house. So I didn't have quite as many bills back then. And I called him up. You know, this is the pre-eBay days where you just had to find this stuff where you found it. And I said, I would be willing to pay that price that you wanted for the tie bomber if you will throw in that rope swing to the Death Star. And he did. Now for some reason there's 2 in there, and I don't remember at what point I found a second replacement rope swing to the Death Star. So apparently I got another one at some point and just said, well, it's cheaper than the last one I bought. This is one of these that's broken. So there's a few pieces in here that are not intact. That should be one continuous part, and that's busted off. Somebody's selling that part on eBay right now, and it's painted white, and it actually looks pretty cool. So I wonder if I could glue that back and paint that one white. So, and then there's the bridge that extends from it. A loose door to the trash compactor. The seats to all the guns. 4 more of these. So that's 5 of those total. 2 more of these. This one I customized, and that's after we moved into this house, come to think of it. So it was more of a Death Star 2 style. It's got a broken peg right there and a bad crack, which is Must be why I chose it to be the one for customization. This one doesn't look quite as bowed as the one that had stickers on it. And this one's more yellowed. So I wonder if I can get those stickers off and put them on here. Or I do have some repro stickers that I bought. 2 more of these. Good ones this time. Ow. Holy cow. 2 more of those. That's 5 total on that. 2 more of these. Elevator shafts. That one's got all its stickers on it, looks like. So that one must be the good one. Not so good. So I customized it. 4 elevator shafts. 2 with the original stickers. 1 custom. And 1 with no stickers. And where's that little semicircle piece I saw just a minute ago? It must go on this guy. And here at the bottom are these guys. Trash compactor. Several more of those. And it appears we have hit the mother load of Dianogas. 4 of them. And you know what? I saw another one the other day somewhere else. I didn't realize I had that many. Wow. It's kind of neat. Look at the subtle color differences on them. One's darker, one's lighter. Now, I went looking for an elevator shaft the other day for another video that I have yet to film. And when I got into this box then, I was very angry with myself because when we moved, I just sort of threw it in there in a rush, and then I left it there for a decade and a half with other boxes stacked on top of it. So the weight of all those boxes bearing down. 2 things that I did very, very badly. One was that these cardboard items were just in the middle of layers of plastic items, and so they had gotten kind of bent and warped. So what I've done now is I put them at the very bottom of this box underneath a couple of pieces of cardboard, and looks like they have flattened out some. I'm gonna move a couple of these. The other thing that I really upset myself about was the gunnery chair floor. Now when I went into the box, I still had 3 of these with the firing pin intact, which is good. But one of them I had very stupidly left with the firing pin in the spring-loaded position. And without thinking about it, I went, oh no, that's not good. And I just popped that and it broke. When the spring slammed it back to where it should be, it instantly cracked because of the stress that had been under for 16 years in storage. And I was just heartsick. I'll tell you why I was heartsick. I'd already broken one of those when I was 9 or maybe 10 years old. And I guess we didn't see the note from Kenner on the directions about ordering replacement parts. It's there. Either we had thrown that out or I just didn't think of it. But my sister, who, if I'm 10, she was 18. She's like, oh, I know what to do. So she takes a screwdriver and starts dismantling one of these. So she takes off this assembly, and inside of it was this broken piece that people now refer to as the firing pin. And so she goes and she gets some brown paper, and she gets some twine and some other things, and I'm still thinking, you know, she's got a way to like tie it back together or wrap the brown paper around it. She's going to repair this item. No. She puts it in a little jewelry box with a little piece of cotton, and she wraps it up, and she addresses it to Kenner, and she mails it off to them. apparently she'd had some class at school. I always picture it being like Shoop from summer school was, you know, teaching people how to mail off their broken sunglasses. And we're expecting that we're going to get an intact firing pin back in the mail, and we're going to put it back in this, and we're going to put it back in the floor of the Death Star. And instead, we get a box yay big with the entire top floor of the Death Star and the gunnery chair and the gun. That's what they gave us for mailing them those two little pieces. That's why years later I painted the broken one brown to be the barge gun from Return of the Jedi when I made a custom Slave Leia. So to have known about the fragile nature of the firing pin as a small child and still putting that floor in the spring-loaded position and leaving it there for 16 years, I was just kicking myself. But eBay can be your friend sometimes. Referenced replacements earlier. I actually have bought a floor that has an intact pin, and then another one popped up for even less. So, a costly mistake, but a correctable mistake. Now, I'm pretty sure that I have seen one of these and just like found it in the floor and gone, I think that's the tip of a G.I. Joe missile, and just like put it on a shelf. So there's probably one more half of these somewhere that would go with one of the broken ones. But my plan now is to prevent myself from doing that stupid mistake again of leaving one in the spring-loaded position and putting tension on this 40-year-old part and warping it and whitening it and, you know, bending it to one side, is that I ought to 3D model this in like Tinkercad and have some printed and then replace every one of these with a more durable, more recently constructed phony part, and just have like a bag of good ones sitting on the shelf nearby. So as I'm editing this video, a couple of things popped to mind. Number one, I actually made a veiled reference already in an earlier video to the firing pin breaking on the Death Star. Because remember, I had the idea for this starting May the 4th, and then I spent like 9 weeks prepping before I ever started shooting anything. And that was the window of time in which I said, oh, I need to find the Death Star elevator shaft, and oh, this firing pin breaks. So a couple of other things happened where either I damaged it trying to excavate it, or I discovered that it had become damaged in storage. So with those in the back of my head, the day that I went to John's apartment to film the Blue Snaggletooth story, and he brought out his Sears Cantina, and the last little piece of cardboard on that one fold tore the rest of the way through, I felt bad because he only brought it out because I asked him to so I could film it. My response was, whatever we document, we destroy.
This tear just happened today.
I'm sorry. Whatever we document, we destroy. And just out of curiosity, if your rope swing to your Death Star broke or got lost, did you do the same exact thing that I did? I took the Empire Strikes Back mail-away survival kit and took the little grappling hook belt for Luke and used that for many years. Way too long, but you wrap it around his hand a few more times, you're okay. This is my original right here. You can tell by all the knots that are in it. Well, I can see a couple with the naked eye there, about 3 of them, but that one big one's the only one that's really showing up on camera. And do you remember this photo that I used in an earlier video about the mail-away Boba Fett? In actuality, I was not disappointed about Boba Fett, but I was disappointed on a Star Wars topic, and it had to do with the Death Star. You see, I wanted the Death Star, and I hadn't gotten it for Christmas that year. And then I thought, well, maybe they'll get it for me for my birthday, which is a week and a day after Christmas. And I got this huge cardboard box wrapped in birthday paper. And I'm like, this is it. This is what it is. And I tear into the paper, and I open this box, and I pull out that corduroy jacket. Who puts a jacket in a box? I mean, honestly. In the next video, you will see me assemble the Death Stars. How many was I able to make from the parts? Tune in and find out.